Do not forget. Hello, friends. So recently, I put out a review of Sonic 2, and the response has not been super positive. I do generally stand firm in my opinions and stand by the videos I put out. Though I have said myself, it's one thing if you've got two sides to a debate, but if nearly everyone has a unanimously negative reaction to something, there is likely a problem with that thing. So it would feel hypocritical of me to not address this issue. I can already tell that this video is going to be way too long, but if I'm gonna address it, I might as well go all out. So let's get started. First, the nature of the video itself and how my opinion was presented. Many people feel that it was wrong to call it a review when it was really more of a rant. I can definitely see where people are coming from with this one. Personally, I feel that my video still fits the definition of a review because it discusses the overall quality of the movie and what I thought about it and all that. But it's also very ranty. Absolutely. Honestly, this was kind of an unfortunate happenstance. I actually spent a lot of time trying to figure out what to title the video. Kane and I bounced around a lot of ideas, as getting the right title and thumbnail balance is really important. My original idea was Old Man Rants About Sonic 2 for 50 minutes. Because I wanted to acknowledge that this was a rant, and that I really am basically an old ranting man in this case. Once the thumbnail was solidified, however, I didn't want to be too over the top with the title, so I ended up landing on something incredibly simple. In hindsight, this probably wasn't the best idea, and I've now tweaked the title a couple times. As for the video itself, though, many people take issue with its length and with just how many things I complain about. It was seen as mean-spirited and nitpicky. Here is my defense for whatever it's worth. When discussing anything in video form, I am always true to myself. It might sound weird saying this, but I don't often think about how the end product is going to be received as a piece of consumable content, especially when it comes to my unscripted stuff. I feel that capturing and communicating my thoughts and feelings is my #1 job. After watching Sonic 2, I had a lot of things to say. I knew that a shorter, more concise video would get the job done and probably make people less angry, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just spill it all out. And in the end, I made the content that I wanted to make. An exasperated rant was what came out of me after watching that movie, and doing anything else simply because I knew everyone but me loved the movie and I didn't want to stick my neck out would have been disingenuous. I refuse to live in an environment where being in the minority means you can't say what you want to say in the way you want to say it. At least when talking about harmless things like movies and games, but I feel that goes without saying. The comparison isn't exactly perfect because maybe there's a difference between scripted and unscripted content, I don't know. But I've done things like this in the past. I made a very long and critical review of Pokemon Sword and Shield, then a feature-length critical review of Paper Mario: The Origami King. In those cases, I also had a lot to say. I wanted to say all of it without censoring myself, and there were enough people on my side of each respective debate for those videos to work. In the case of Sonic 2, my opinion was such a minority opinion that I feel people incorrectly perceived the video as some sort of hateful, mean-spirited, anti-Sonic rant meant to make people who like the movie feel bad. And this is simply not the case. Have you ever watched a movie with friends and you all hated it and spent an hour just like ripping on it afterward? Like, have you ever been shocked by how much you disliked something and felt it was cathartic to get all those feelings out? Because that's what I did here. And I've done it before. The main difference here is that very few people feel the same way I do, which might be coloring their perception of the video. But the fact of the matter is, I saw a movie, I hated it, and I wanted to spend a little while ranting about it. I did not want to hate it. I don't have some sort of Sonic bias. Maybe I'm just more persnickety about movies than most people. Yeah, absolutely. But really, I was just having fun with it. Because I think angry rants are fun when they're not really angry. I spent a lot of the video laughing. It's fun to talk about something for a long time. Pick apart all of these silly little details that made me mad, you know what I mean? And I figured if someone loved the movie and didn't want to hear someone rant about how much they hated it, they wouldn't watch the video. Because one guy's opinion can't hurt you. No matter how absurd you think it is, it's just that guy's opinion. I will gladly listen to a long rant about how much someone despises Pikmin if they really do hate it that much. I like hearing different opinions, even very strong ones. I thought maybe some people would be the same. Here's what I thought about Sonic 2. Here's all the stupid little things that made me mad. Take it or leave it, you know? But it seems many people have taken the video poorly in ways I didn't anticipate, and that's probably my fault. I try to cover all my bases, but I'll entirely admit that in such a long video, going over so many points, I was not equipped to do so. Like, I suppose it was too many bases to cover, you know? I didn't have time to make sure every point I made was perfectly crystal clear. I do feel like accusations of nitpickery are a little uncalled for in some cases. This is the whole Pokemon too much water thing all over again. These tiny things I'm saying aren't individually to blame for me not liking the movie. They're just little things that it was fun to bring up while I was in the mood to rant about it a bunch. It's easy to try and refute an individual point, but doing so doesn't necessarily discount the overall opinion being communicated. However, I do understand that some of these points caused people to question the validity of my opinions, or simply left them confused. I'm not going to comb through the video and address every point, but as an example, let's talk about my thoughts on the movie's visuals. I said some of the effects were bad and the characters weren't animated particularly well. I completely admit that making such a claim without backing it up was a poor move on my part. For a little clarification, I think the characters are expressive in snapshots, but in movement, they're below the standard set by other fully animated movies, in my opinion. Animated characters are capable of a massive range of incredibly intricate, nuanced expressions and movement, and I don't feel that was represented in Sonic 2. Both facial and bodily movements were very broad, kinda stiff. And like I said, some of the effects just didn't look as good as they could have. Is it possible that I focused so much on the animation because I wasn't enjoying the rest of the movie? Absolutely! I will gladly admit that. After all, I didn't say as much about Detective Pikachu, and that probably didn't look that much better. Yes, it does become easier to see something's flaws when we already feel like it's very, very flawed. In my defense, though, that doesn't mean the flaw isn't there. If I wished the animation was better while watching the movie, then that is a legitimate feeling I had while watching the movie. If noticing one flaw leads to noticing another, then that's just how the viewing experience was for you, you know? If you loved the movie so much that you weren't even paying attention to its flaws, then that's your experience. It's all subjective after all. Also, in the same way that someone might notice more of a movie's flaws if they're already not enjoying it, is it at least possible that the same might be true of YouTube videos? Is it possible that maybe all of this stuff tends to add up and kind of multiply in intensity, you know? If I said I loved the movie and my only problem was that I wish the animation was better, do you think people would be as mad at me? It's the same with my apparently very, very controversial comment on Knuckles' gloves. I know Knuckles has always had gloves. I know they're meant to resemble boxing gloves, but I feel that in both the games and other animated media, his gloves look cool. It looks like he's got big, beefy hands, good for punching. In the movie, however, I thought they looked just too soft and plushy. More like a guy with small hands wearing big poofy gloves he won from a vending machine. I just didn't like the way they looked. Again, if that was my one problem, how would the reaction be? Hey, I loved the movie. I didn't like how Knuckles' gloves looked though. Would that be so bad? I don't think so, but in a long review filled with opinions people don't agree with, such a tiny thing is blown way out of proportion. And suddenly, Arlo doesn't even know what Knuckles is supposed to look like, which is so preposterously absurd. Do you see what I'm saying? It's frustrating being accused of nitpicking and just looking for things to hate and blowing them out of proportion when it feels like people are doing that exact thing with my video. And when all added up and multiplied together, it all grows into the idea that this is a hateful, vitriolic rant by a complete lunatic who's never played a Sonic game in his life. There is another thing that I would like to take responsibility for, though. Normally, I like to give a lot of background and let people know when an opinion is coming from a person who doesn't have a lot of experience with a particular subject. I already gave so much background info at the start of the video that I guess I didn't think to talk more about my own history with Sonic. This was a huge oversight. I'm not a big Sonic fan. I definitely don't claim to be. I played the games as a kid and a teenager, but the series went in a direction I didn't really like, and I haven't played a lot of Sonic since. As with anything, all I can do is give my opinion based on my own experiences. If anyone feels that my inexperience makes my opinion uninteresting, then I entirely understand. Like I keep saying, I'm just doing what I'm doing, and if people like it, then cool. I should have made all that very clear from the start of the video. It might have made a lot of my points a smidge more palatable. I did, however, talk about some of my own personal Sonic opinions in the video, though, and the responses to some of those are a little confusing to me. Like, I know Sonic is around humans a lot. Games, shows, everything. Lots of humans. I was just saying I didn't like it, and that's actually one of the reasons I fell out of the series. I do, however, wish I'd clarified that even if there were going to be humans in the movie, which was probably inevitable, I would have preferred a fictional setting, like in previous Sonic media, instead of our real, actual, Fortnite, Toyota, Marvel, lattes human world, you know what I'm saying? It's an immersion issue. For instance, the world of Detective Pikachu was very much modeled after our own, but it was at least a fictionalized version set within the actual Pokemon universe. Maybe I should have been clearer about all this too, I don't know. But again, this isn't Arlo being clueless about Sonic. I know there's humans in Sonic. That does bring us to a very common question though. Why review this movie if I'm not a big Sonic fan? Well, I do like Sonic, despite what some people seem to think. Sonic 2 was the first video game I ever owned. I adored him as a kid. And yeah, I fell out of the games and stuff, but I'll always have a soft spot for the characters. I actually really, really love Knuckles. Funnily enough, I don't get to talk about it that much, but I love Knuckles. I'm also a fan of movies. I was also really curious to see if this would be an improvement over the last movie. I had every reason to watch the movie and do the review. Plus, if I listened to people when they told me to just quit playing and reviewing Pokemon games because I clearly just don't like Pokemon anymore, I wouldn't be in the process of working on a really long, glowing review of Pokemon Legends Arceus. There's nothing wrong with sticking with a series and hoping it starts fitting your wants. And if you don't want someone to review something you like because they have a history of being critical, are you suggesting that only people who already love a thing should review it? Because that's basically asking for an echo chamber where the majority opinion is the correct one and dissenting opinions should just not be visible at all. Obviously, if I literally did hate Sonic, it would be silly to review this movie. But I do like Sonic. No, I'm not gonna just shut up because people don't like my opinion on it. I loved the heck out of Sonic Mania, so I did a review. And later this year, I'm going to play and review Sonic Frontiers. I'm actually really looking forward to it. To anyone who's told me to stay away from Sonic or to stick to Nintendo or anything similar, my answer is no. No. I think that's a really belittling thing to tell someone. You are literally telling a person to stay away from a thing you like because you don't like their opinion on it, despite the fact that their opinion does literally nothing harmful to you or your enjoyment of that thing. There's a name for that. I can't seem to think of it at the moment. This is already going longer than I wanted it to, so let's move things along. A quick note about the movie's target demographic. People don't seem to like that I said most Sonic fans are adults. I don't have any raw numbers, but you're only a kid for like a few years, and then you stop being a kid forever. And Sonic has been around for 30 years. That's a whole lot of Sonic fans growing up. There is a very large adult Sonic fan base. Some people seem to think I was saying Sonic doesn't appeal to kids or something, that they're not seeing this movie. I don't know, that's really ridiculous. I know he appeals to kids. I know lots of kids are seeing the movie and really loving it. I never claimed otherwise. And I'm sure this movie will turn a whole lot of kids into full-on Sonic fans, which is completely awesome. Finally, I'd like to address two more major issues people are having with my video. The first is the idea that I'm insulting and belittling people who liked the movie. This is particularly baffling to me. I am a very direct, literal person. When I say words, I mean them. When I say them multiple times, I really mean them. So when people accuse me of meaning something other than what I explicitly say, it frustrates me to no end. This is a constant issue I face. They say things like, "You said this, but your tone said this." Sometimes it feels like it doesn't matter what I say. People will glean something different if my tone is slightly off. In this case, I think people mistook my comedic exasperation as genuine anger, and that changed how they absorbed my actual words. I don't know how many times I've got to say that I'm genuinely happy for everyone who liked the movie before people will believe me. Again and again and again, I said it. You can like the movie. Most people like the movie. I wish I liked the movie. I'm happy for all of you. But because of my perceived tone, I guess people just don't believe me. They think I'm lying or being passive-aggressive or something, I guess. And let me tell you, people taking what you say out of context, clipping out the parts where you actually explain yourself a little, and incorrectly paraphrasing your points so they sound way worse than they are, it ain't fun. It ain't fun at all. But that's exactly what's happening here in many cases. I mentioned how I don't want to accuse people of liking a movie only because it has Sonic in it, but that I'm confused because to me, the movie is as bad as other movies we all dunk on, but people like it anyway. I'm not trying to accuse anyone of anything. I'm just confused about it. I'm not saying, how can anyone like this movie? I'm saying I simply don't understand why they do. Like I'm being literal. I'm not trying to insult people in an offhanded way. I'm genuinely confused. I saw a thing and didn't like it. Everyone else liked it. That's confusing. That doesn't mean I think they're wrong for liking it. I just don't get it. That's what I was trying to say. Do I need to say it again? I don't know why you like the movie, but I'm happy that you do, and I'm genuinely happy for the Sonic fan base. Please believe me. The other big issue is regarding my comments on the people who made the movie. This is probably the main thing that people are upset about. I said that, to me, neither Sonic movie feels like a product of passion. They feel like bland corporate affairs, despite all the lore and references and stuff in them. I still feel that way. And honestly, a lot of that is probably the Manhog's fault. It's hard for me to imagine that anyone who gives even one single darn about Sonic could come up with such a freakishly horrible design that is unanimously hated by every single Sonic fan in existence. Those aren't the seeds of a faithful adaptation. But, of course, I'll admit, I don't know who was responsible for what. Who has the final say on character designs, or the story, or the dialogue? Was it Jeff Fowler, or someone else, or some unnamed executive we don't even know about? I don't know. The business of making movies is complicated. Many people have pointed to the fact that Jeff Fowler has actually worked on Sonic before. And you know what? I don't doubt at all that people who genuinely like Sonic did work on the movie. I was never doubting that. And while I feel such a thing goes without saying, maybe I should have been more clear. Maybe it really did sound like I was just saying everybody who worked on this movie totally stinks and they should all quit. It would have probably been more respectful for me to at least acknowledge anyone who worked on the project and did a great job and worked really hard and just genuinely put their love of Sonic into it. And I'm sorry if it felt like I was disrespecting the entire crew. I'm saying it right now. I am sorry for that. I did not handle it well. I'm sorry. I can't personally see that reflected in the final product. I truly wish I could. Not joking, not being snarky. I wish I could. I hate that I feel this way when everyone else gets to be so happy. But again, I've got to be true to myself. I don't see a faithful adaptation. I see a corporate checklist. Here's the thing though, and you're gonna wanna hear this. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong. When it comes to things that I can't prove or disprove, there are very few situations where I will dig in my heels and claim that there's no possible way I could be wrong. Because I'm wrong about stuff all the time. You are too. We all are. The world would be a better place if more people could admit that even though they feel a certain way, they might be wrong. I don't feel like I'm wrong, but I can't necessarily change how I feel very easily. I can't change what I see when I look at these movies. But if the people making these movies are real, honest-to-goodness Sonic fans, and 99% of the other real, honest-to-goodness Sonic fans out there feel that these movies are faithful, loving adaptations, then there you go. I'm probably just wrong. Hope that helps somewhat. I guess that's another thing I should have said in the video. People tend to hear my opinions. I don't know if it's just like the way that I talk or something, but a lot of them hear my opinions and think that I'm this like high and mighty critic guy who thinks his opinions are the only right ones, despite me constantly trying to remind people that I'm just one schmuck. The only difference between my opinion and most people's is that mine is being seen in higher numbers. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it any better of an opinion than anybody else's opinion. And anyone who thinks I feel superior and totally infallible because of my tone, well, they're objectively wrong. I'm sorry. If there's anything I can be sure about, if there's anything that I know that I am right about, it's my own thoughts. Wow, I think that just about covers it though. I guess the only thing left is the idea that I'm a hater just for the clicks or something. Like I get some kind of thrill from being contrarian. And all I can say to that is, nah. Why do you think I would want all of this? I knew people would get mad at me, and that did not make me feel good. Not good at all, okay? So that's that. Hopefully this has cleared some stuff up. I'm not gonna be removing the video or anything because for the most part, I still stand by it, you know? I am sorry if you, as a viewer, feel that it is poor content. But it's the content I wanted to make. Those are the feelings I wanted to communicate. I'm sorry if it felt like I was being too mean or anything like that, but I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. It's just a guy who didn't like the movie and having a silly rant about it. One thing I have to keep reminding myself here is that this is all this about a blue hedgehog movie. You know what I'm saying? And none of it really matters, literally at all. If you're one of the people who got super duper duper upset and like cursed me out a bunch and called me names and stuff, then I don't know. I'm not your mom. You can spend your time however you want, I guess. One final thing before I go. Please, 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 never shame someone for taking a social media break. I logged off of Twitter for a few days because there was a massive flood of angry people all aimed at me, and I didn't want to just stand there and take it. Many saw this as me sticking my head in the sand and ignoring valid criticism. But you don't know what a person might be going through. You don't know what's going on in their heads or what they might be struggling with. Maybe they already struggle with their emotions sometimes. They might even be taking medication for their anxiety, as I am. Telling them that it's not okay to log off and that they have to just sit there and bear it all is seriously wrong. It's a horrible, horrible thing to tell someone. Wow. I think that's the most serious I've ever gotten on my channel. Yeah, I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling strong. Just kidding. Confrontation turns me into spaghetti. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go take my meds and then throw them up.